Hello everyone. We are going to continue part 2 of our working on giving directions to a computer, or in our case, a person. And this week we are going to need paper, a pencil or something to write with, and our imagination. Now we're going to think like a computer scientist this week. If you don't know what a computer scientist is, then I'm going to tell you right now. A computer scientist is someone who works to write code or instructions for a computer to do a task. So most people would be surprised to know that most programmers or people who write code actually spend a lot of their time doing something called debugging. Now, debugging is where you go and you find or fix problems. Now, sometimes debugging takes time. It's not always quick. So we might need to take a little time today to find or fix problems. Now, we're going to need our paper and our pencil to create a maze. Now, it's always important to plan what you want to do first. So that's what you need the paper and the pencil for. So go ahead, press pause, find your something to write with, like a pencil. I'm going to use one that I have right over here. And go find some paper, scrap paper, notebook paper, computer paper. I'm going to use my notebook paper right here. And press pause and meet me back here. I will see you in a few. Do you have all your materials? Let's get started. So first of all, we need to think of an overall shape for our maze. Now, I use notebook paper, so mine is a rectangle because I just used the shape of the paper. And you can see my pencil drawing right here. It's kind of hard to see, I know, but I'm going to make mine in the shape of a rectangle as the whole thing. Now, what I'm going to do next, everything is going to be inside of that rectangle, okay? So my maze is going to be a rectangle shape, and then all of the things to do in that maze are going to go inside of that rectangle, okay? So first of all, we need to decide where are we going to start and where are we going to end in our maze. So go ahead and look at your paper after you drew your shape or you decided what shape you wanted, and think about where you want the maze to start and where you want it to end. So go ahead and do that. And then we're going to add something that we have to do while in that maze. Okay, these are all things to think about. If you want to write these down on the top of your paper so you don't forget, that's fine. You can also press pause and just start it when you're ready. All right, so I'm going to put my start point and my end point, and then I'm going to share with you the next step. So go ahead and hit pause if you need to, or you can write it down and work on it later. All right, go ahead. All right, let's see what you have. Now, I had a rectangle shape. Now I'm gonna have to turn it this way. I darkened in my pencil line so you could see a little bit better, and you could tell that it's a rectangle. I also added a start and end. I labeled mine so I would remember what they were, and I just kind of made them little boxes on top of my shape. So if you want to try something like that, that's fine. If you had a different way, that's fine too, as long as you know where your start and end points are. Now, we need to find something for our person or our object to pick up on the way in the maze. So I'm going to put a star somewhere in my maze, and that is a goal that the person or object would have to do in order to finish the maze. They have to finish the maze with the star. So I'm going to go get a star sticker, and I'm not going to stick it on just yet. I'm going to make sure it's in just the right spot. And then I will put it on my maze somewhere. Now, if you don't have star stickers, that's okay. You can make a star with your pencil. You could draw one. You can cut one out of a piece of paper, whatever it is you want to do. So let's find a star and let's stick it somewhere in our maze so that our person or our object could pick it up on their way in the maze and then have it on the way out. So go find a sticker or draw one or cut one out, whatever you'd like to do, and we'll be back for the next. All right, so I have my star sticker that I'm going to use on my maze, and I have not drawn anything on my maze yet. I just have the start and the end, and the rest is still blank in the middle. Now you do see lines because it's a notebook paper, but I don't have anything else drawn on my paper. Now this star can go anywhere, and then I can draw my maze around it. But I have to remember that they have to be able to pick up this star. So before my person or my object could get to the end of my maze, it has to be able to get to my star and pick it up on the way and take it to the end. So I could really put this anywhere right now and then draw my maze around it. Now, here's where the fun part starts. I'm going to go ahead and stick my sticker somewhere on my maze. Now, here's the fun part. Once you've planned your maze, make sure that you can give directions for the object or person to move. Now, you can use an object like, let's say I have an eraser. So I have an eraser sitting here on my desk. So let's say I have Horton, my eraser, and I need to move it throughout the maze. Now, I'm going to have certain directions that it's going to have to follow. So if you're using this with a person, like you're making a life-size maze, then you would need to be able to give that person directions too. So I'm going to go into a little more detail next about the directions. But think about where you want this star to go, and would you still be able to get to it and get to the end pretty easily? Now, the next step you want to keep in mind when you give directions. So go ahead and think of an idea of how you want your maze to look. You can go ahead and draw it down. If you're using pencil and you make a mistake, just erase your mistakes and see if you would be able to give directions to someone or something to get through this maze. Remember, they have to be able to pick up the star to get to the end. Good luck. All right, we are ready for the last part. Now, this is the part that can get tricky, and this is where you might run into some bugs or some problems in your maze. So let's go back over the rules of your design, and then we're going to go over the rules for the person or the object that they have to follow. Now, don't worry, I'm going to put them in writing after this part of my video. So you can always hit pause and write them down, or you can just take a look at them, whatever works for you. So let's go back over those rules. Number 1, your character, your person, or your object has to start somewhere on your maze. The second rule is you have to have a starting point and an end point. The next thing you need to remember is that they need to pick up something along the way. Now, I chose a star, and I recommended you use a star as your object, but if you're designing this and you want to come up with something else for them to pick up, that's totally fine. I just thought a star would be easy for us to start with. The next thing you need to keep in mind, and this is something I did not mention in your design, this is more for the coding part. You need to keep in mind that in order for your character or your person or your object to pick up your star or whatever you change it to, they need to be able to get in the same place as that star. Now, if you made yours a maze and you went, oh, they can't get to it, then you need to do a redesign or debug your maze. The next thing you need to keep in mind are the instructions that your person or your object would have to follow. Now, here they are. The first direction is move left, move right, move up, move down, repeat 1 to 5 times, stop, repeat, pick up star. Now, if you were like, I can't remember those, that's okay. I'm going to put them on the screen after I'm done talking. So here is the final project or the final thing you need to send. When you've created your maze on paper, that's great. If that's how you want to create your maze and you want to leave it on paper, maybe you've went back and you've redesigned it. Maybe you looked at it, like I'm going to look at mine right now. Maybe I looked at it and went, I could make this a little better. I could add some things. I could take away some things. Maybe I want to put it in color. Maybe I want to outline parts of my maze. Maybe I want to color in some things with different shades of maybe red or green. Maybe I just want to change some things on my paper. That's fine. You can do this however you'd like. But here's where the creative part comes in. If you're looking at your paper and you want to do this life size, that is totally fine. You could make it a game for your family if you wanted to. You could create a maze that they could walk through following your directions. Now remember, those directions are what I'm going to give you right after this part of the video. So if you want to create this as a life-size activity, cool. If you want to make a maze for your animal at home, maybe you have a dog that really likes to do mazes. I've seen videos of people doing that and they're really neat. Have some fun with it. Just remember, they have to have a starting point, an ending point, and they have to pick up something on the way to finishing the maze. Now, you have to be able to give the directions of move left, move right, move up, move down, repeat 1 to 5 times, stop, repeat, pick up, star, or object. Now, if you're saying, but Mrs. Hannah, my dog doesn't know left and right, that's okay. Just show that they would be able to do that with their actions. So have some fun with this. And I can tell from my window right now, it's a really nice day. So maybe you want to do a maze outside. Have fun with it. I'm going to work on my paper maze for right now. And I look forward to seeing what you create with your families. And if you add your pets to the fun, or if you draw it on paper, however you want to do it. Have fun with it, and I look forward to seeing your work. Good luck! Wait! I hope you didn't go too far. I would love to explain to you where we got the word debugging. Now, if you remember, I said debugging is where we go in and look at what we've created and we take away the mistakes or we change them or edit them to make the whole thing work better. So we get the word debugging from a woman named Grace Hopper. Now, stay tuned. I'm going to show you a picture of Grace and where we got the word debugging. So I'm going to disappear and you will see a picture of Grace Hopper, the lady who created the word debugging and where she got it from. And then you're going to see the kind of weird way we got that word. So I hope you did well with your maze. Go back and debug or edit if there's any problems. And stay tuned to learn a little something. An error in a computer program or hardware is called a bug. The process of identifying and removing errors or bugs from computer hardware or software is called debugging. The origins of this term stem back to Grace Hopper, one of the early pioneers of computer science. While working on one of the first computers, Grace Hopper's team found a moth inside the computer, which caused an error. An actual physical bug caused the problem. Grace's journal entry of the taped moth is now referred to as the first recorded computer bug in history. It is on display at the Smithsonian Museum of American History in Washington, D.C.